Hey everyone, I'm Mine, and this is set number 76949, Giganotosaurus and Therizinosaurus Attack from the LEGO Jurassic World theme. This set contains 810 pieces, 6 minifigures, and 2 dinosaurs and retails for $129.99 in the US. This set was sent to me by the LEGO group through the LEGO Ambassador Network, but all opinions expressed in this video are my own. So there's 3 main builds of the set, the first of which is this little lab right here, and I think this is fairly good looking overall. It's quite simple and the interior is a little bit sparse, but we'll take a look at that in a moment. But from the outside it does look good. I like all the big translite blue windows. I think those are super cool looking. There's a little bit of foliage growing out the front right here. I think that looks super nice and adds some life to the build. There's also a little security camera right here. Other than that though, it's mostly just these trans blue windows. Around on this side, you can see there's the Bios and Genetics logo, as well as a few more plants and this little stand that holds 2 walkie-talkies. They're obviously clipped on, but can be removed if you want, so if you want to give them to minifigures, you can. But now let's come back to the front and go into the interior. Interior of this build, there's a little lab. You can see there's 2 eggs right here, and those can be closed up underneath this dome. There's this robot arm with a syringe that can be moved back and forth, and the syringe part can be moved down. That's pretty cool if you want to imagine like running little tests on the eggs and whatnot, or like injecting things into the eggs. And the eggs themselves are these same classic LEGO egg pieces that we've been getting since the Angry Birds movie back in, 2015? There's a stickered piece of like a computer console with some data on it. Moving over, there's yet another one of those. There's this tiny little build right here, which I'm not sure exactly what it's supposed to be, maybe like a little microscope. And assuming that is what it is, I do think it looks good enough for this small scale, but definitely would have benefited from like a new part or something to represent it. Still pretty good. And then finally on the very end you have a wrench right here, and this is a little place to hold the buggy that comes in this set. Here's the little white buggy. It's very similar to the green buggy that comes in the Triceratops set this wave. But there's not too much to say about it. There's room for one figure to sit down, and it's just got some wheels, some clips on the back to hold accessories. You can see there's a pickaxe there by default, and this is how a minifigure looks actually riding it. Yeah, not too much to say about it, but it's pretty cute. Anyway, the point with the buggy is you can load it in right here, so that way you can store it within the lab, but when the characters are done working in the lab, they can hop on and just ride right out. Oh, he fell over. Yeah, that's a simple concept, but I think it's well done. And over on the very side of this little console right here, I'm not sure exactly what this is supposed to represent, so if anybody knows, please let me know in the comments. And there's also like this whip piece with like a gun hilt at the very end. Again, not sure exactly what that's supposed to be, but please let me know in the comments if you guys do know. You can see there's 2 stickered computer screens representing the 2 dinosaurs that come in this set. I guess this is like a little coffee machine right here because you have a little coffee mug. Lots of these trans orange pyramid pieces on the side over here. These are maybe meant to represent like fossils encased in amber. We do have a proper like amber fossil piece later in this set, but I don't know what else that could be. Then there's a little desk. You can see it's got a computer screen with like a mosquito on it, a little coffee mug on the table, and there's a swivel chair right here. And then finally there's this little mini fossil build on this side. This is actually really cute and I think actually works really well. To me this looks like a rhino skeleton. However, I know it's probably supposed to be a Triceratops or some other horned dinosaur. But regardless of what it's supposed to be, it very clearly has like a creature shape to it. And I think it's really cool that they pulled that off with so few pieces. And then finally coming up to the roof, we have a radar dish right here. This can spin very similar to the one on the Avengers compound from last year. And then there's a ladder to get up to a little helipad. Speaking of the helipad, this brings us into our next build of the set, the helicopter. The helicopter, of course, can be landed up there for storage purposes and whatnot. However, I'm going to remove it for now so we can take a look at it up a little bit closer. And looking at it a bit closer, I think this is a fairly solid little helicopter design. You have this big windshield at the front right here. You can put a character inside. And, for example, there's how a character looks actually piloting the vehicle. Around the side there is the Bios and Genetics logo, and this is actually a little door that can open up. Once you have that open, there's a little thing inside, which if you push in will actually slide out the other side. And you can see on the other side there's the same door with the same sticker that can also be hinged up, and here's what can be removed. This, I'm not sure exactly what it's supposed to be, but it's a table with a lever right here and a syringe. Probably some sort of like portable lab for testing purposes, but if anybody has more specific details, again, feel free to let me know in the comments. And there's the interior of the helicopter with that removed. With that removed, you can, in theory, put characters in here looking down. They can't stand up straight and you can't like close the doors while they're in there. But if you do want to store more than just one character in the helicopter, that is an option you have. Alternatively, if you sit them down, you can sort of just shove them in the center and close it up. So not practical for realism purposes, but just for storage purposes or play purposes, that is an option you have. So I think that's cool. I always appreciate when there's room to hold figures, even if it's not the most comfortably. Coming out to the side, you can see there's 2 propellers. I really love the shaping of this like triangular design right here. I think that looks super cool. It makes the entire thing tie together a lot better. And then finally at the back, there's a pretty simple tail and there's a tiny little propeller at the very end. Speaking of propellers, there's a better look at the big one at the top. And nothing too complex about it, but it looks good and it spins well, so no complaints from me. And if you're curious, there is the bottom of the helicopter. Yeah, I'm overall pretty satisfied with this build. Nothing exceptional as per usual with Jurassic World sets, but for a helicopter, it's fairly decent. Nothing bad about it, just not the most interesting build in the world. But overall, I'd say it is good, and it's one of the positives of this set. And then the final actual build in this set is this Watchtower right here, and I think personally this is my favorite of the builds in this set. The bottom of the Watchtower has a lot of foliage and whatnot, and while most of it's very easy to just accidentally knock off, it does still look very cool and adds a nice extra bit of dimension to this build that it wouldn't have otherwise. And I like the little stones on the side to hold it up. It looks better than the base of a lot of other similar builds we've gotten in the past. And then moving up, not much to say about the actual pillar that holds it up, but then we get to the actual building at the top, which looks pretty cool. The outside's a little bit funny. It's got a railing right here to hold it up, but nowhere else. Not sure why the railing doesn't extend all the way around. I feel like that's a little counterintuitive, but sure, whatever. There is also a ladder at the back, but it doesn't extend very far down, so maybe you get onto the ladder from the helicopter or something. And then removing the roof, you can see the actual interior. There's two more stickered computer screens, and these are a bit hard to see because there is a black piece behind them, but this one has a little dinosaur on it. It looks like it's maybe a raptor or something. And then this one has this building on it. And yeah, I think both of those are pretty good stickers, just like the others. There's some sort of console right here, but other than that, it's pretty much just an observation area that holds figures and allows them to watch the dinosaurs in their natural habitat. There's some fun shaping used on the roof. I like how round they made it. There is also a giant antenna at the back. And then finally, the play feature for this part of the build, you can have Chris Pratt fall to his doom. That's a very simple classic LEGO play feature. You pull on this Technic pin right here, and the floor right here will fall out, as well as the window back there. So if you have any characters or anything else sitting up there, that will also fall. And this is the kind of play feature that's been coming in sets for years. I remember getting sets as a kid like this. But it's a simple and effective play feature, and it always makes me happy to see, because it is very fun. But that's about it for the builds, so now it's dino time. So here's the first of the two dinosaurs that are included in this set, the Giganotosaurus, and as his name may suggest, he is gigantic. This guy's huge. He's bigger than the T-Rexes we've gotten in the past, and in my opinion, this is an awesome looking dinosaur. I love the olive green all around. It's a super cool color, and the black on top looks really cool too. I also like the bits of scarring on the side of his body and on his leg, and you can see he has distinctly different scarring on the other side too. The body's got this huge spine coming up it with these spikes and everything that looks amazing. And the head, I'm not sure if it's new for this guy, but it's larger than the head that they use for the T-Rexes. And something kind of cool about this larger head is you can actually pretty much fit a full minifigure in there. So with his mouth opened up, for example, we can slide Chris Pratt in there and then close his mouth back up. And you can't close his mouth back up all the way like this, but it does look like he's actually chewing on the minifigure, and the minifigure does sit in there pretty comfortably. It's not that easy for him to fall out. So I think that is really cool and it's a lot better for play than the mouth of the T-Rex, and that's probably my favorite part of this guy. There's a more up-close look at the head. As you just saw, the jaw can be hinged down or up. The entire head can also be moved down as well as rotated. The legs of this one are the same as the legs of the standard T-Rex, all the way down to the T-Rex arms, which, just like the T-Rex, there is room to hold a bar piece. So if you want the Gigantosaurus to be holding a coffee mug or anything else, you can do that, which I think is really, really funny. And then finally at the very end, the tail of course can swivel just like many other LEGO dinosaurs. But that's about it for the Gigantosaurus. In my opinion, this is easily the best part of the set. Really incredible dinosaur overall, probably my favorite one I own. So here is the other dinosaur included in the set, the Therizinosaurus. I apologize if I'm pronouncing that wrong, feel free to correct me in the comments if I am. And unfortunately, I feel like this one is not nearly as good as the Gigantosaurus. However, there is still a lot of things I like about it. To start, I love the more realistic, feather design, with the beak and everything. It's a more realistic take on dinosaurs, so it's nice to see that translated into LEGO. The jaw of this one is just the Velociraptor jaw reused, but I think it works well enough here. There's these dark red feathers running up and down the body as well as this tan line. And then the actual body's dual molded in this dark tan as well as this gray. There's a few spikes going up the back of the body as well. And then the tail at the very end, as you come to expect, is also on a hinge. So you can turn that 360 degrees if you want. And this is only one part, but the end of it's rubbery while the base of it's more plastic. The legs of this one are just gray. I'm not sure if they're new for this guy or they've been used in other dinosaurs before, but they work well enough for this one. But then coming to the hands, I am not a fan of these. I believe they're new, but I'm not a Jurassic World expert, so they might not be. But yeah, it uses these brick-built claws, which are cool in theory, but in my opinion, in execution, they don't look great. Because with every other part of this creature being intricately molded, the claws made of regular LEGO pieces don't feel as organic. So to me, the hands just look really, really awkward. It looks a little bit better if you alternate the position of the fingers, but in my opinion, I'm just not a fan of the way the wrist looks as a whole. I would have much preferred if they just did molded claws in a position that looks good, because this is just, it doesn't feel like it adds that much for play, and it also just doesn't look amazing. So yeah, I'm not really a fan of that. Oh, and I almost forgot head articulation. This can be moved down, be moved up, and of course be moved 360 degrees. Yeah, I don't know, this one's okay. Personally, not one I'm a super big fan of, but it's cool to get such a unique dinosaur in such a big set, and it's nice to get two big dinosaurs in a set. Speaking of which, if you'd like a size comparison, there's the two of them right next to each other. But I think that's it for the builds and the dinosaurs, so now let's move on to the minifigures. So here are the first two minifigures in the set. We have Owen and Claire. These are the same exact figures that come in the T-Rex and a Triceratops breakout, which I've already covered on this channel, so I won't go too in depth here. But in short, I think they're both pretty good figures. Nothing too exceptional in either of them, but I do really like this Owen figure. The jean printing is really useful, and the shirt's really nice as well. Skin color printing on the torso is done too light, but that's pretty common for LEGO nowadays. And of course, the Chris Pratt face is really well done. It represents him really well. And then Claire, really nice torso design. Love the teal. However, she has that same exact issue with the skin printing. And then her face print is something I've never been a fan of. I feel like it's too intense, doesn't really fit her personality well. And here's their back torso prints as well as their alternate faces. Owen's alternate face, again, very good, but Claire's not a fan of that one. But good back torso prints, both of them, just like folds in their shirts and whatnot. And then there's one last look at the front of their torsos with their hairpieces removed. Here are the next two minifigures in the set. We have Alan Grant and Ellie Sattler. These are characters from the original Jurassic Park movie who are returning in Jurassic World Dominion, and these minifigures are meant to represent like older versions of them. Very cool to see these characters coming back. Ellie does come in one other set, but I do believe Alan is exclusive to this set, and both of them are pretty good minifigures. Alan is wearing a very similar outfit to the one he wore in the original Jurassic Park movie. He's got the blue button-up shirt and then the hat, but this time around, obviously now he's an older man, so he's got a beard and whatnot, which is gray. I'm not sure if that's a new part, but it's personally my first time getting it, and I think it's an awesome part regardless, so very, very cool to get that. And then Ellie, really great, really useful torso design. The hairpiece is pretty boring in my opinion. I feel like that could have been better, but the face print's pretty good. It's a nice expression, and we don't get older woman face prints, especially like in flesh tone, too often, so it's nice to see that here. There they are with hat and hair removed. And there's back torso prints as well as Ellie's alternate face. The alternate face on her is fantastic. I love that expression, so full of personality. That's a really great one to get. And of course, no back face for Alan because he's wearing a hat and wouldn't make sense for him to have a face showing in the back of his head. But yeah, these two are highlights of the set. Really, really good. And then here are the final two figures in this set. We have Dr. Henry Wu as well as Kayla Watts. Both these figures, I believe, are exclusive to this set. Editor's note, I was wrong here. Kayla is not exclusive, but Henry Wu is. However, I believe the only part on Kayla that's exclusive is her torso, while both Henry Wu's face and torso are exclusive. Regardless, both of them very nice figures. On Dr. Henry Wu, I love the face print here. We don't get, like, bearded faces for different skin tones too often, so that's always really nice to see. But even that aside, it's a really nice expression and everything. It's a very detailed face. I feel like it's pretty useful for customs. And then his torso is nice as well. Again, his skin printing is printed too lightly. Very disappointing to see, but it's very commonplace. And then just a pretty standard leg and hair piece, nothing too special there. Kayla, excellent new torso piece, absolutely love that, super useful for customs and whatnot. Her face print, I don't believe is new, I believe that was on a Star Wars figure a few years ago. And I also don't believe the hairpiece is new in this color, but it looks great in this color. And the entire figure is pretty much nothing but good parts. Really nice as a whole, and the parts individually are useful for customs. Here's the two of them turned around with their hairpieces removed. Again, really great face print on Dr. Wu, I love that face, especially like the angry expression. Really well done. And the back of his torso is fine, about what I'd expect. And then Kayla's back face print, I'm not sure how I feel about that. I'm just not really sure what expression she's trying to convey. It just sort of looks like she's talking, which I guess is not bad. It's just not an expression we get too often from LEGO. But yeah, that one's probably not my favorite, but certainly not bad. And pretty nice back torso print in her too. And yeah, I think that's about all I have to say on the figures here, but I definitely think these two are the best of the entire set. Very, very good overall. So, what are my overall thoughts on this set? I'm actually quite satisfied with this set. It's definitely not perfect. I'm not sure if I'm the biggest fan of the whole Jurassic World sales model where it's a smaller build with big dinosaurs. The big dinosaurs are cool to get, but it always makes the builds feel a little bit lackluster. That being said, I think this is one of the better Jurassic World builds. The lab is cool, and I really like the big Watchtower. The helicopter is pretty solid as well. It's just hard to see the builds as $130 worth of builds, and that's because they aren't. You also get dinosaurs here, but even still, I can't help but feel like this set feels a little bit small. That being said, the Giganotosaurus is awesome. Love the colors, love the design, and I love they could fit a full minifigure in its mouth. I think that's by far the best part. The Therizinosaurus, it's funny looking. I think it's kind of meant to be funny looking, but I definitely think it could have been done better. Don't know if that's the best representation of this dinosaur in LEGO form. Minifigures are pretty fantastic as well. 6 great characters, 3 of which are exclusive and the other ones are like pretty desirable. Editor's note, 2 of which are exclusive. So not really any complaints from me in that department. So yeah, I think this is a solid one overall. Do you need it? No, probably not, but if you're interested, I don't think you'll be too disappointed with it. As a point in comparison, this set reminds me a lot of the Avengers Endgame Thanos battle from last year, so if you guys have that set, this set is very similar, where the builds look pretty good, but you can tell are very much designed for kids, and you're mainly buying it for the figures, and in the case of this set, the dinosaurs. So yeah, just like I said with that set, it's not for everybody, but for kids it's definitely great, and for older collectors, if you don't mind it being a little more childish, I still think it's pretty good. But those are just my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think of this set in the comments below. If If you enjoyed this video, please press like, subscribe to the channel if you're new. I do LEGO videos like this almost every day, so if you subscribe, you'll be the first to see them. Thanks for watching, everybody, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!